Hi folks, this is Pete Lane. Welcome back to Blind Abilities. As you know, Blind Abilities was in Orlando at the NFB 2018 National Convention. Our own Jeff Thompson attended an Aira workshop on the topic of education, students, and employment. In this workshop, we hear about how Aira can fit the needs of students as they attend college and transition into the workforce. We hear about how Aira can be free for those explorers who are looking for jobs. And we hear about how the Aira service can be a reasonable accommodation and can perform so many tasks for workers on the job. Aira staff members Michael Hingson and Patrick Lane present this workshop courtesy of Aira. Before we join Michael and Patrick, just a quick announcement. We have a new addition to the Aira team. Anirudh Cole, founder of Seeing AI and former senior data scientist with Microsoft, has joined the Aira team as the head of artificial intelligence and research. We welcome him to the Aira staff. Without further ado, let's join Michael Hingson and Patrick Lane from the Aira Workshop on Education, Students, and Employment from the NFB 2018 National Convention in Orlando, Florida.
I'd like to welcome you all to our seminar today. This is the first of 3 that Aira will be conducting. This particular one is going to be on education, employment, students, people in the workplace, employers, and employees. And our intent is to set the stage for what Aira offers and can bring to you in terms of how it can benefit you in any of those categories. So our intent is to really give you a good idea of what Aira is, what it isn't, and how you can use it. I am Mike Hingson. I am the director of Aira Explorers Special Projects, and we have a live agent on the stage. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, my name is Patrick Lane. I am currently an agent analyst here with Aira. I've been an agent with Aira for coming up on 2 years now, so I've gotten to see Aira used in all of those specific cases that Mike just mentioned many, many different times in different ways.
One of my favorite Aira stories is that in Patrick's early days, I happened to call him about 7 o'clock in the morning California time because I needed to put a laundry cart together that we had gotten in the email. And as the Chinese are learning from IKEA, the instructions were all pictorial. There were no text pieces to the instructions at all. So I called, got Patrick, and we put it together in a half hour. And that's as good as it gets, because that really is what Aira is about. Aira, if you look at Aira in the general terms of what it is, Aira is an information source. Aira is a way that you can get any visual information that you otherwise would not have access to. When I talk to a lot of people about Aira, they think about the fact that, oh, well, I really have good travel skills, so I don't need it. Or I've always got sighted people with me, so I don't have that problem. Let's deal with that in terms of a job. I'm on the job, I'm using JAWS, and suddenly the computer quits working. Now where do I go to get my sighted assistance? I'm in the office, I've got to go interrupt somebody else to get them to come and look at the screen, tell me what the error screen is, or of course the infamous blue screen of death. In any case, I have to go find someone. Why should I have to do that today? Because there is a way to do that on my own, namely using Aira. I can use Aira to contact an agent. The agent can look at the screen, see an error code, and if I can't easily move my cursor to where it needs to go, it's possible that I can even enter into a tandem or two-way session using TeamViewer or some other technology with the agent. That might be a little harder with JAWS not talking, but for a lot of different things that I do, where there is an inaccessible web page or something that isn't talking the way it should, I can interact with an agent and get their assistance, both in terms of actually having a session, a two-way communication session, or at least getting information described. If I am an employee and I want to go to lunch, let's say I'm in sales and I want to take people somewhere for lunch, for sales, I can more quickly use an Aira agent to research possible restaurants if I don't really know all the options, or when I get to the restaurant or going to the restaurant, using an agent's help to do all of that. Aira gives me the opportunity to get anything that I need that I don't otherwise have access to because it's visual. It is that simple, it is that general, and I urge people to look at Aira in that way. Don't limit yourself to looking at it as a travel device. Don't look at it as something that's going to diminish your skills. Don't look at it as something that is anything other than what it is, an information source. And all of us, no matter how good our cane skills are, no matter how good our dog skills are, can benefit by having access to Aira, because Aira is the way that I can get more information to better tell my dog where I want to go or interact with traveling with my cane. Let's talk about students and Aira. As a student, Aira offers an incredible amount of opportunities for you to be able to more independently do things than you otherwise would be able to. The most common thing that we as blind people have to do as students is to read material that otherwise is inaccessible to us. If the average reader is paid, let's say $15 an hour, we have an unlimited plan for Aira that's $330 that exists today. Things are going to change, but let's just use what we have today. $330 is equivalent to 22 hours of reading time at $15 an hour. I'm submitting that Aira is cheaper than hiring readers. Any office for students with disabilities will save a heck of a lot of money if they independently allow students to use Aira and they pay for the Aira service. Aira will allow me to read when I want to read, where I want to read, and essentially how I want to read. There are incredible examples of different ways that students have used Aira in libraries, have used Aira in the classroom to access the material that a professor is writing on a board or is displaying on a PowerPoint presentation. An Aira agent can be describing that to a student who uses Aira plugged into earphones so that they can hear what's going on while the instructor is doing what they do, never in any way interfering with the class, and more important, not demanding any change in the methodology that the professor uses to do what they have to do. So I don't need the professor to do something different from me when I'm using Aira. It frees me up to perhaps better take notes. It opens up an incredible world. Of course, I can use Aira to travel around a campus, learn where things are, and go off campus and do all the things that I might otherwise do that any other student would do. So Aira gives you that flexibility that we have never had as students, and Aira makes it available in a way that is affordable by any definition to any Department of Rehabilitation or any office for students with disabilities on a college campus, both of whom ought to be providing Aira in one way or another because it will make me a better student in theory if I study, and it will also then make me a more employable person. Because as I graduate from school, I'm going to be going out and I'm going to be looking for a job. While I'm at school, I talked about the fact that we do have departments of rehabilitation starting to look at Aira, and some who have signed Aira up and are paying for those services. Some offices for students with disabilities are doing it. But Aira also has another program, and this is the second year in a row that it has existed. It's called Back to School. Aira will be sponsoring some 500 students for a full year of Aira use. You can apply by going to aira.io/backtoschool, where you can sign up for Aira, and once chosen, then you'll get Aira with the 400-minute a month plan, I believe is the plan that we're using. Julina, is that right? Are you here? By the way, Julina in the back right is the person who's in charge of Back to School. So if you're a student and you want Aira, I would be really nice to Julina. Just saying. But Aira with Back to School means that you will have, without any expense from the college or the Department of Rehabilitation, access to Aira. You can apply for that today, and I urge any students in the room to do that. Aira uses smart glasses, glasses that contain a camera that transmits images directly to an agent. Agents are hired by Aira, they are paid by Aira. They're hired because they have demonstrated an aptitude to be able to describe, and then after they are hired, they go through a significant training period. And once they are trained, then they go out and they start acting as agents and describing things for people who happen to be blind. Aira does not tell you what to do. Aira will not, for example, tell you cross the street. Aira agents may tell you they don't see cars coming if you ask. Aira agents may tell you that the light is turned green. Aira agents will describe an intersection so that you can cross it with full knowledge of what the intersection looks like. But Aira's not going to tell you to cross the street. That's your job because you have the cane or dog skills that you need in order to make the right decisions and cross the street. Aira will give you the information that you need. Likewise on the job, Aira will do the same thing.
The agents are not here to teach O&M. We're not here to tell you a situation is safe. We're here to provide you instant, equal access to information. So we'll provide you all the information that you need to be more comfortable and know more about your surroundings, to paint that rich picture of your environment so you are aware of everything that's around you. The agents are able to have a conversation with you. They can tailor the amount of information and deliver it in a way that you prefer, so we make things as easy to understand as possible. We'll deliver information about, as Mike was mentioning, intersections. We'll tell you the name of the intersection, the size and shape of the intersection, whether or not there's traffic signals, stop signs, pedestrian signals, crosswalks present. We give you all the information that you need, but we're never here to replace your O&M skills. We're never here to replace your cane or your dog, and we're never here to tell you that you are safe or unsafe. We just provide you all of the information that you need. Even if it's completing a task that you've completed a million times in the past, we might be able to provide a different sense of independence while doing that task, or a different type of enjoyment. Not only can we be used for navigation, but we are here to provide all of the information that you need about pretty much any task that you might have in mind. We can help you with online tasks. We can help you planning trips, making online purchases, helping with different types of inaccessible websites. For instance, if you're a student and you do online courses and Blackboard's not cooperating, we can read you about the information that you need for your schoolwork, for any upcoming assignments, any kind of printouts that are passed out through classes. So just consider us as basically like an OnStar for those who are blind or low vision. You know, we're not here just to kind of point a camera at something and tell you what you're describing. We are a full service. Our agents are very highly trained, and they're very dedicated and extremely patient. We are amazing problem solvers. We're great at troubleshooting. The agents will find the information that you need at all costs. It's situations like that. I've looked up YouTube videos and gone through the entire process. Basically, what an agent can do is up to you. Our explorers are called explorers because they are creative in the way that they use our service. They go out there and they test our service to the limits and show us what we're capable of and let us know where we make changes. And at this point, from my first day till now, it's completely different. Our company is growing exponentially. Our technology is amazingly consistent, and our agents are there to work as a team with you to complete any task it is that you want to do. Be creative. Whatever you think of, that's what Aira is here for.
So you go off and you graduate, and then you go looking for a job. The first thing you should be aware of if you happen to be an Aira Explorer is that we have an Aira Access Network for jobs, a job access network, whatever you want to call it, that will stick it in your memory. If you are doing anything relating to getting a job at all, whether it's writing a resume, writing a cover letter, making sure everything is formatted, getting dressed to go to a job interview, ladies putting on makeup, anything at all related to getting a job, that time is automatically free to you. So for any Aira Explorer, doing anything relating to getting a job is free. We are saying at Aira, we want to take that unemployment rate from 70% unemployment rate among blind people down to 7%, which would be cool. And Aira is trying to help to make that happen by making it possible for you as an explorer to have access to the tools at no additional charge to get that job. What does it mean, though, as far as getting a job, and where does Aira fit into that? The way Aira fits in is really pretty simple. Aira, by any definition of the Americans with Disabilities Act, is a reasonable accommodation. It is something that should be usable and used by you on the job. I can take almost any job that you can imagine and find a way Aira can help. Because again, remember what Aira is, an information source. It provides you with what information you need. How many here in the room have a job?
A few hands back there.
Yeah, you know, raising your hands, guys, isn't going to work. I'm not using an Aira agent right now.
How many are looking for?
How many are looking for a job? Okay, so
Handful.
For the fun of it, for some of you who are looking for a job, tell me some tasks that you might need to perform on the job. Okay, but let's say you have a job. What are some of the tasks that you might need to perform? We'll come back to the resume and that as well. But you're on the job. What are some tasks that you might need to perform on the job? Typing. And what was the other one? Filing. Mm-hmm. What else? Okay. Handwritten notes. I'm sorry? Okay. Someone up here said something?
No, I was saying looking at presentations.
Looking at presentations.
Yeah, PowerPoint slides. I've described a handful of those in my day.
Let me suggest a couple others. Making copies on a copier. Anybody tried to do that lately? Copiers are touchscreen.
Oh, yeah.
The one I love to pick on at Aira, going and getting something from the coffee machine, because it's also touchscreen. However, every single thing that you guys have said are all things that you could use Aira to do. You don't have to ask someone else. So let's talk about the coffee machine. I love hot chocolate. So I go up to the machine, I call an Aira agent, and I do this at Aira. And it's absolutely a great example. I wouldn't have it any other way. I call the agent and I say, need help getting hot chocolate. Now, I'm sure that we could probably kind of mark the machine in some way, but the problem is finding the markings. You're going to touch the touch screen, so it doesn't work very well. But the Aira agent can look at the screen and tell me, move your finger a half an inch to the left. You're right over the button, push it, or whatever. And now find the start button. Or actually, you have a choice of making it with milk or water, and I like it with milk. So we need to find the milk button. Move your finger down to the bottom of the screen, over to your right a half an inch. Right, you're over it, push. And it's a little longer than just doing it with buttons, but it's accessible because Aira agents can help do it. And I don't need to wait until someone else might be available. I don't need to wait until I'm dying of thirst. I can just have an Aira agent do it and give me the information so I can get exactly what I want. And in fact, learn more about that coffee machine than I ever would have learned any other way. Something that sighted people take for granted, the tens of thousands of different ways permutations that you can get out of that coffee machine. But with an Aira agent, I can learn those same things, and I wouldn't know that any other way. Copy machines the same way. Most of what you do on copiers these days are touchscreen, but I can become as good a copy expert as anyone else if I have access to it. And I do because I can use Aira. Filing. Obviously, Aira agents being able to read information so that I can put things in the right folder, and even creating the tabs to go in folders or whatever. All of those things are commonplace, everyday tasks that you should be able to do as well as anyone else. But you can't if the equipment isn't accessible unless you use Aira. It's all about access to information. Somebody mentioned resumes, and I want to talk about that a little bit more. There are countless examples, and Patrick help out. People want their resume to look good. The Aira agent can help. So let's take a typical example. You're writing a resume. You've got all the facts, and you can put them down. Now you want to make it look good. So you can call an Aira agent who can describe and help you, or what I would do, being lazy and being industrious and trying to get it done as efficiently as possible, I would use one of the programs that I mentioned earlier, TeamViewer, for example, which is a way that you can have an agent connect directly to your computer, and you can work with the agent and let the agent do the formatting because they see what your screen shows. And so the agent can actually format the resume for you or with you, because you're still going to have to tell them what you want it to look like. But the agent will be able to format that resume, and by the time you're done, you'll have a resume that you would be proud to provide to any employer for them to look at.
With the TeamViewer, it's not only us being able to see your computer screen, but we also have remote control of that computer screen.
The agents can do a lot of stuff with TeamViewer. Let's just say you've never actually seen a resume. You don't know what the actual format looks like, how it's set up. It's never been described. Agents can input all of the information that you've given them into a pre-made template for a resume. Can work in all the different fonts and colors and apply that to a specific type of job that you might be searching searching for. So really make that resume look unique and noticeable so it stands out when it is viewed by the employer. They can make sure that all of the spelling and the grammar and the punctuation are correct, because nobody wants to submit a resume with spelling errors or bad grammar, anything like that. So the agents can apply all of that information. They can update old resumes and then reformat them to show the changes. Even your LinkedIn account, we can go in there and update that with prior job statuses and all of that information. So with the TeamViewer being able to have that remote access to your computer screen, it means that you don't have to potentially hold a phone there or lean in real close with the glasses. It makes the whole type of experience more enjoyable for a possible tedious task. So I have personally assisted in setting up all of what I just mentioned. I've helped somebody build a resume from the ground up, and they have successfully used that. I've helped update LinkedIn profiles to reflect what's written on a resume. I've helped people apply for jobs and send that resume automatically through Career Builder or Monster, whatever it might be. So we have assisted hopefully a large amount of people in finding that employment that I know that they're looking for. Not only will you hopefully potentially find that employment, but while using the service for that reason, you're not going to use any of those really valuable Aira minutes. So when seeking out a job, the agents mark a call as such. So you're not going to use any of your Aira minutes while performing that specific task.
So if it takes you 5 hours to build a resume or 10 hours to build a resume, that's not a problem. If you need help creating other documentation for job search, it's not a problem. It's all part of the job access that Aira has made available for any Aira Explorer to use. So that's available to you today. Aira just announced a partnership with VFO, where if you're doing anything using JAWS or any other equipment manufactured by VFO, and you run into any access issues or you run into any problems with using Aira and VFO products, those minutes that you spend where VFO can't do it without you bringing an agent or someone else in to assist are all free. So I, for example, when I had an issue trying to deal with some Slack messages last week, I contacted an Aira agent. We established a communication session through TeamViewer, and we accomplished what I needed to do with Slack. But because I couldn't easily do it with JAWS, that meant it was in part a JAWS issue. So those minutes happened to be, as they ended up, free because it's part of the VFO access program available from Aira. Now, the operative part that we've talked about with all this is that you have to be an Aira Explorer. On the job, you've got a lot of ways to do it, in theory. And I realize that this is only in theory because different places operate in different ways and so on. But typically speaking, if you want to get a job, even if it costs you money up front to be an Aira Explorer, to subscribe to the service, to start that process, Aira can better help you in dealing with getting that job, not only from the job access process that we talked about earlier, but when you go into an employer's office and are going through an interview and they ask you, how are you going to do one thing or another? You can say, I'll show you. Now, technically, I suppose one could say, why are you asking me how to do things when you don't ask sighted people how to do things? And I suppose you could, if you wanted to be a stickler under the law, say, that's true. But for me, I want the job. And if I have the opportunity to educate an employer and help them understand that I'm going to be more employable because I'm going to be using Aira, then I will educate the employer any day of the week. And more important, I would then say, Aira is a service that costs money. And as you provide various different kinds of technologies and methodologies and devices for all of your employees to do their job, this is one that I need to do my job. And under the law, that is appropriate to do. More important than that, it's encouraged, and most people at least have some sort of a clue that that's a valuable thing to do. Aira is a reasonable accommodation. And it's not very expensive compared to lots of other things that an employer might provide an employee, and it makes you much more efficient. And if I were going to really make the case, I would say, hey, employer, you know, the unemployment rate among employable blind people is anywhere between 65 and 70%. I got to tell you right now, it is really hard for me to get a job because people don't think I can do the job, although I can. People don't look at what I can do. They think, well, you're blind because you can't. And so as a result, you can't. Although I've just shown you how Aira helps me do the job better. If you hire me, I guarantee you I'm sticking it out here because it is so hard to get a job. If you're going to have faith in me, I'm going to have faith in you. The fact is, we will be more loyal on the job if we're given the opportunity, and Aira can help make that case and sell it for you. And I think that's an important aspect of dealing with looking for a job. Is it HIPAA certified? Today, it is not. HIPAA does have standards, although we are complying with the California certification and security standards, which actually is even worse than HIPAA. But it's a very expensive process to get HIPAA certified. There is a lady in Canada who works at a community college, and she deals with a lot of the medical cases and other privacy issues that go around student paperwork on the campus. What they did is that they included in the paperwork that you signed to go to that college a statement that basically says that some of your material may be read by a person who happens to be blind, and they will be using reader services, including remote reading services, Aira, to read your material. By signing this paper, you consent for that to be able to be done. Now, as soon as you make that consent statement, and as soon as they sign it, Glenn, HIPAA is not even relevant anymore for that person. And they're doing that as a blanket thing for every student that goes to the college. So the issue is that we know that there are a lot of different kinds of processes. HIPAA is a good one, and we are working toward that process. But there are also a lot of situations where our agents are extremely well trusted. There is a lawyer that I know in the United States who works for an organization, and there is constant need to read and prepare documents for trial. And there's a lot of stuff in going through and dealing with things for trial. That's pretty confidential stuff. It's confidential from the law firm standpoint because they don't want the other side to necessarily know things until they're ready to give it to them. But it's also true the documents that are being used in discovery and acquired in discovery can be very confidential. Agents are really trusted because we know what happens in an Aira connection stays in an Aira connection. It doesn't go further. Many of us use Aira to look at our personal financial documents because it makes it available. My wife is sighted, but if I don't have to use her to look at stuff, I won't, because she has her own things to do. And as willing as she is to describe things, to give me data, and to help me accomplish tasks like that, two things. No offense to my wife, but Aira describes better because they do it all the time and they're used to it. By the way, she'll acknowledge that, because she's heard some of the agents. But two, I don't have to take her away from other things, which gets back to what we said about on-the-job work, right? So the fact is that it makes for a much better situation all the way around. And Aira can be only positive in a job environment, much less in what we've talked about with students and so on. So there is, I think that the job didn't actually happen, but for other reasons. There's a person who almost 2 years ago went to a career fair in Los Angeles, and one of the companies there was See's Candy. And they were hiring people to process orders. So she turned in her resume, and they said, we'd love to hire you, but problem is that not all of our orders are electronic, some come in paper. And she said, well, let me show you. Pulled out Aira. And that eliminated the problem. They said, gee, you solved that for us. Great. Sure, working in a store, think of all the various things that you need to do, whether it be finding material on a shelf, reading a cash register that doesn't talk, or, point of sale device that doesn't talk, whether it be doing other kinds of things, whether it's filing or whatever. Blind vendors can use Aira and can be more efficient because they can stock their own shelves. They can read all the information that's not accessible to them. Again, I get back to what I said. You're only limited by your own imagination with what you can do with Aira. Aira doesn't use volunteers, and our general response time is extremely quick. The time to get an answer is usually 10 seconds. Are you a user of Be My Eyes?
Yes, I'm a user of Be My Eyes.
Okay. So Be My Eyes is a way that you can call someone and get simple tasks done. The problem is you don't know who you're going to get in terms of their abilities. You don't know how long it's going to take you, and you can't do something like walk through an airport like you can with Aira. All of those things you can do with Aira.
I read somewhere that Aira can be activated via Siri.
You can say make an Aira call or call Aira.
Okay.
You can use Siri to do it. Actually, I think you got to call it Aira because
Aira, yeah,
Siri don't talk good.
There's two different voice commands depending on what device you're going to be using. You can say Aira video call or Aira audio call, and depending on which one you use, it will call from either your glasses or your phone and connect to an agent very quickly, as Mike said, 10 seconds or less, depending on whether or not we have the largest conference going on in the country.
Yeah, but you do need to say Aira because that's what Siri knows. Siri's got to learn some language skills. What you will get is someone who is highly trained. You will get someone who knows how to describe. We've actually hired a number of new agents over the past months, so you're going to get some newbies. I worked with one agent yesterday. I was blown away when I learned that at the end of the call, I was one of the first calls, and this was her first day on the job. She did great. Aira is available for Android or for iPhones. Anybody with a smartphone can use it. That's the answer that we've been using. That changes too. Aira has developed its own glasses. It's the next generation of what Aira will become. And that system consists of glasses with a high-resolution camera with a very wide field of view compared to the way it used to be. They actually connect directly to what we call an Aira controller or Aira controller phone. It's an Android phone locked only to do Aira stuff. It also, because of that, it powers the glasses and there's a lot more power available. But by using that system, you don't even need your smartphone. So you'll use the Aira system and without even using the smartphone, without even using your smartphone. So that Aira will make it possible for you to keep your phone free for making your own phone calls while you're working with an agent. Or for example, if you're paging or needing to page or call Lyft or Uber, you can ask an Aira agent to do that if you're an Aira Explorer. And you link your Lyft and Uber accounts to Aira. But along the way, there's a very good likelihood that the Lyft driver or Uber driver will call you and say, how am I going to know you, or where exactly are you? In the past, that's been a problem because you're using your smartphone and you have to disconnect from the Aira agent and then get back on. Now you don't, because you're using the Aira controller as the way that you're communicating with Aira, so your smartphone is still available. That is the Horizon system. I am now connecting my
Unlocked.
Aira Horizon glasses.
Glass connected. Initializing Aira.
Can everyone
Hello,
hear that?
Mikkel Hingson.
Yeah.
Aira ready
Mikkel
for
Hingson.
service.
Yeah, it says Mikkel. Could everyone hear that?
Yep.
So I'm using the Horizon glasses.
Battery 73%.
Ah, we're
Glass
good.
attached. Connected to Aira via 4G LTE. Hello, Mikkel Hingson. Aira ready for service.
I want feedback to support. We want Mikkel to be pronounced correctly. All right, here, listen to this.
Calling Aira agent. Connecting to agent. Connecting to agent.
See how long it takes.
Connecting to agent. Connecting to agent Peter.
Bingo.
Thank you for calling Aira. This is Peter. How may I help you?
Hey, Peter, how's every little thing?
Going well. How are you?
Doing well. So we are in a room, and might you be able to tell us anything about where we are in terms of where this room is or anything like that?
I do see you're at Rose and Shingle Creek, so I'm assuming you're at the NFB conference.
And you see, that's part of what Peter and all agents get is not only what they can see, but they get GPS information and other data that can add value to them in terms of your Aira experience. And you are right, we are at the NFB convention, we are at the Rose and Shingle Creek Hotel, and we are in Pensacola H3, if you wanted to pull that up so you could really see where we are. Can you maybe describe a little bit of the room for us?
Sure. So you're in a relatively large room with really high ceilings. I want to say they're about 30 feet high at least. The room you're in, so it looks like you're seated on the stage. There are several rows across from you. They're all facing forward, and there is a walkway down the center aisle between those rows as well.
Okay. Peter, really serious question. Does anybody look like they're asleep? Those people in the back row, you know what I'm saying, Peter?
I see people waving.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because those people in the back rows, they usually hide back there because they think they can fall asleep. But with Aira, they can't do that. One of my favorite stories is about a father who wanted to make sure his daughter was doing her homework. He called an Aira agent and walked in and just said, how are things? What are you doing? She said, I'm doing my homework. And the agent said, no, she's playing computer games on her phone. Anyway, does anyone want to ask? Well, we've got Peter and Patrick. So Patrick's over here, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
Hi,
Good to see you again.
So any questions for either of these gentlemen?
So with the dashboard that Peter is using, what information does he have access
So Peter, why don't you tell us about your dashboard?
So on my dashboard, I have information like emergency contact info, first of all, in their profile. And then I do have access to seeing what kind of assistive devices anyone might be using, such as a white cane or a guide dog, different preferences they have, like if they prefer left and right or clock face for orientation, just things so we can tailor the experience to each specific explorer, since everyone has their own preferences. We also have access to, like Michael said earlier, the GPS location on the map, and I'll be able to utilize public transit. If the explorer connects the Aira app to their Lyft or Uber accounts, we're also able to request those rides for our explorers, and then we'll be able to take a look at the driver's info, like the name and the kind of car the driver has, and spot where they are on the map and let the explorer know when the driver has arrived and help them spot the car.
And more important, with the NFB rideshare test program, for example, if the car comes and it sees that you are blind and have a guide dog and just decides to drive away, they'll get nailed.
We'll watch them like a hawk.
They'll get in trouble. Other questions for Peter? Peter, can you read medication bottles?
Yes. Before I became an Aira agent, I actually don't think I've ever met or interacted with anyone blind or low vision. So initial training, they start with just explaining what it's like for people who are blind or low vision, getting you to what orientation and mobility is and what kind of information is important to an explorer versus what I think is important information to me as a sighted person, because those things are very different. We learn how to give what's necessary, and then also when an explorer wants more detail, we learn what kind of detail to give them. And then we start exploring the dashboard that we have with all those things I explained to you. And then we do some training. And the explorers who also works for Aira, who helps us train, and we just do exercises like navigating intersections with different tools. So Michael has a guide dog, and we'll learn how someone navigates with a guide dog. And then we'll have another explorer teach us how someone navigates with a white cane. And that helps us just get used to all the different things, because it's one, describing all the visual information that we want to give to the explorer, but there's also the technical side of using the dashboard and all the other ways we communicate with other agents and the rest of the Aira team.
The question was, what can Aira do to help people do like mobile deposit, bank deposits, and so on?
I've actually coincidentally done that a couple times in the past couple weeks. We can help you align your phone's camera over the check and make sure that, it's face up, whichever side that the app wants you to do. And for certain bank apps, some of them aren't as accessible as others, so we'll help get you aligned to where the button is to take a picture of the check and send it off.
So you've had an agent that wasn't able to make that happen. When you encounter a situation where an agent isn't successful, it would be extremely helpful for you to provide that feedback because, and Patrick, why don't you deal with that?
We love when the explorers use the feedback form at the end for both good and bad calls. That's why we have both good and poor marked on there. When you leave us feedback about why a call was poor, we as analysts can go provide that extra training to make sure that all of our standards are being met by the agents and that your standards are being met by the agents as well.
So if you're having a problem getting an agent to be able to help you with a mobile deposit, then it's important that we hear about that so that we can go back and review it and talk to the agent and find out what the problem is and see what their difficulty is. So if you took 60 minutes, that's a real problem, and you should get that time credited back. Mm-hmm. But you have to let Aira know to do that. There are any number of factors. The camera could be one. I mean, it could be that on a particular day, the cell service wasn't as good as it ought to be. Aira is absolutely pushing the envelope in terms of the technology with video streaming and so on. And any number of factors can make it less than stellar. And it's not Aira's fault or anyone's fault, it's just the way it is. We'll talk about in a moment the new Horizon glasses, which will make a lot of that better. But those are the kinds of things that we do end up dealing with. And so Aira can help make it better by understanding when you encounter problems. Those are some of the best things to do, is to be able to really talk about the problems that you're having. So please give the feedback, okay? I want to thank you all for coming. I would appreciate it if you would tell friends and colleagues. We've got more sessions coming up later this week. We will be at the booth. If you sign up for Aira, by the way, you can then participate in Refer a Friend. If you refer someone to Aira, they sign up, then they will get a free month and you will get a free amount of credit equal to whatever plan they sign up for. So get your friends to sign up. Scott White here at our National Center has been very good at that, and I think mostly paid for a year of Aira because he got his friends to sign up.
I thought I'd pop in here and bring you up to date on a couple of recent developments with the Aira service. Aira is now available 24/7. This means that explorers can dial up an agent from their Aira app anytime, night or day. This not only allows U.S. users to dial Aira during the wee hours of the morning, but it also allows folks in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand to get an agent at times during the day when the need was very great in the past, such as in the afternoon, during rush hour, or during the prime time evening hours. Another brand new feature is the Aira Messages feature. Messages allows Aira Explorers and agents to communicate via text. There's a text box that pops up right on the Aira app, and you can type or dictate your message directly to the agent. This is really useful if you're going into a meeting or a library or a church, for example, where you want to be very quiet. You can text your communication to the agent, telling them what you want, what tasks you want performed, and things like that, without having to talk and interrupt what's going on around you. There are also about a half a dozen preset messages for more common situations that you can just tap on and send. Those presets can be edited or completely changed depending on your needs. Another new feature is called Aira Live. Aira Live allows an explorer to broadcast the audio from their contact with an agent, either to a small group of private listeners or to a larger group through a public live event. This allows others who download the app and either create a guest account or who are already Aira Explorers to tap into the app, go to the Live tab, and see what live events are currently in session. And finally, we have a new addition to the Aira team. Anirudh Cole, founder of Seeing AI and former senior data scientist with Microsoft, has joined the Aira team as the head of artificial intelligence and research. Big things are in store for Anirudh, and we welcome him to the Aira staff. Thanks so much for listening to Blind Abilities. For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, you can find us on the web at www.blindabilities.com. We're on Facebook and on Twitter, or download our free apps from the App Store or the Google Play Store. That's 2 words. Blind Abilities. Once again, this podcast is brought to you by Aira. Special thanks to Patrick Lane for his wonderful guitar music. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.